Good day, everyone. I have been hearing a lot from my students about how confusing the charts are. And one of the things that I wanted to do today was really go through the charts step by step to help you better understand why you're writing them and how to write them. So the charts are really a writing tool for you. They help you organize yourself when you write your academic expectations essay. If you have your charts, you will not leave out any vital information that the committee looks for when they are deciding whether or not to pass your plan. Probably the most important chart of all is the area of study guidelines chart, because that really is the big thing to the committee. Are you meeting the area of study guidelines with your coursework? So in addition to the things that your degree must have, which is, if you're doing a bachelor's, 124 credits, 7 out of 10 gen ed areas, the minimum number of liberal credits, the minimum number, which is 45 of advanced level credits, 24 of those 45 must be in your concentration. So in addition to that, and your 4 educational planning credits, they are looking for you to meet the area of study guidelines. Secondary to the area of study guidelines would be the concentration guidelines, if you have any. And the only way you know if you have concentration guidelines is to go to your area of study website, which we will do in a moment. So let's start out with this weeks 4 to 5, the dreaded weeks in this class, and let me show you just how simple these can be and how little you need to stress about this. So I do have, what are the charts? What's the point of the charts again? How to do your charts. It's a complete explanation. This is my step-by-step. And then this is general education guidelines, so what you need to meet. But I'm telling you right now, you need to meet 7 out of the 10 areas. So let's start with that, because I actually think that the area of study, the general education chart is the easiest one to do. So let's go to my sample plan here, Miss Susie sample. This one is set up as a Bachelor of Science degree, so it's going to have fewer liberal studies. So it has way more than it needs to, but it only needs, I think, 64 liberal studies. It will tell you at the bottom if you're off. What's the difference between a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Arts? Well, we used to care. And I say used to in that, specifically, if you were doing a degree in history, you were doing a Bachelor of Arts. If you were doing a degree in biology, you were doing a Bachelor of Science. So anything that is liberally based, which is theory, okay, liberal classes are based in theory. So we're theorizing about how something is done, why something happened. We don't necessarily know. So, there's all these theories about learning, for example. So a degree in education could be a Bachelor of Arts because you are looking at theories about learning. Now, a degree in something that is applied, for example, math is applied, that would be a Bachelor of Science. So non-liberal classes are classes that are considered to be more applied in their knowledge. So that's that explained. Right here, obviously, your registered area. This one is human development with a concentration of early childhood studies. So on this one, you see the transferred credit here. And notice this number right here, this 8F. 8 is the general education area it meets, which I know to be art. And F means it meets it fully. If there's a P there, it means it's partial. If you have 2 classes that meet an area partially, you should be covered as long as it totals 3 credits. So you need 3 credits to minimally meet in a general education area. So over here you see a 2F. 2 is for science. Discovering math, 1 is for math. 3 is for social sciences. 7 is for humanities. But you don't need to guess all of these things. You actually just need to go up here to where it says General Education Document and click on Edit. No, you're not going to hurt it, so go ahead and click on it. So, and here is your general education document. Here is everything that this student has that meets general education. So if we look here at human nutrition, it was taken at CDL. You go across, it meets science. Now, does she have other science? Why, yes, she does. One more science, which means that for this particular student, I wanted the student to take another science class. So whatever this science class would be, let's call it human biology, that would be here too. So we look down here and we see that this student has met math, science, social science, American history, humanities, the arts, foreign language, and basic communication. And it specifically lists the classes. So please don't look at your courses and say, gee, that sounds like it would meet humanities or it would meet other world civilizations. Look back here and find it out for sure. So now at this point, I say, okay, I'm going to create my charts. And I go back into our course and I have blank charts for your use. Now there is a disclaimer here because I was updating things for a while and I have let that go because it seems like every year new area of study guidelines are being added, and this list is going to get out of control considering I have students who are still with me from 2009. So you do need to check. When you decide, oh, here's BME, that's me, I'm going to use this, that's fine, but you need to go into the area of study for BME and make sure that these are the correct guidelines. You need to know when you matriculated. And again, I will go through that in a moment. Okay, so this link right here will take you to the area of study so you can double check. But at the beginning, it says blank college chart. That's for your college research. Blank general education chart, which is the one we're going to use right now. And then the rest are all area of studies. So I'm going to go with this blank general education chart, and I'm going to go back to, it should have just downloaded for you on something that you can use right away. So now I'm going to go back to my area here, and I see human nutrition, and I know that that meets the Gen Ed for science. So I'm going to type in here human nutrition. And I don't need to put 4 credits, advanced, lower level, what college I took it at. Does not matter at all. Just want to know what you've met. And we are going to have another science class in here because I had that down in this area. So I'm just going to say that I put in human biology because that would be the next class I would recommend for this student. All right. And that is going to go on the degree plan, and I'll put that on in a minute. So the next one we have is discovering math right here, discovering math across generations. I know that means math. And then I said I wanted another class like algebra, so we'll put that in too. So discovering math and algebra. This is all your Gen Ed chart is. Social science, this student has quite a few, a lot of you have a lot. I do like students to list them all, but again, for some of you who have a psychology degree, you may have 10 classes here. You don't need to list them all. Let's just pick 2. So I'll do human development and intro to psych. That's great. So human development and attachment. And I'm going to just put IE here so that they know I have more than that. Okay, American history. I don't think, oh, no, we do mean American history here. So I've got American history. I have just said 2 history classes. So, and I wrote, you see the 8 here. That means that I want this student to take two classes. So let's say we're going to do one that meets American history and one that meets Western Civ. So I'll put those in here because I can think of some off the top of my head. So let's say we pick American, actually no, U.S. history. No, U.S. labor history because I teach that, and that's advanced. And let's do a Western civilization. How about Western civilization and human development? Okay, and I changed screens here for a moment to look something up. Here we go back. All right, and now let's see. Humanities, so this student has Children's Lit Introductory, so I'll put Children's Lit Introductory. And I did want the student to get one more, but we won't worry about that now. Art, let's see if the student has art. Here's the arts. Ceramics, I did say I wanted one more art course, but let's just go with ceramics because that's on here. And the student does have foreign language, does not have foreign language yet, but I did recommend it. So I will put in Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. And then basic communication. So everybody must meet math. You must all meet math, and you must all meet basic communication. And then you have a choice of 5 in through here. Now that said, some graduate schools rather require 2 math, 2 science, 2 social science, 2 history, 2 humanities or writing type classes, art, and foreign language. So you need to know before we even start this course, and typically I have you guys research this when we're just beginning to work together, you need to know what your future graduate program likes. I do not want you getting to this point in the course and you have 3 classes left till your bachelor's and then find out that you have to take another math, another science, and a couple foreign languages, which will set you back. You certainly don't want to graduate with your bachelor's degree and then have to go back and do more lower level credit work. So we're going to set this up ahead of time so you'll know what you need through here. Okay, and to be honest with you, I know foreign language is tough, but you have such an advantage over other people in almost any job you do if you have a foreign language in there. Now, whether or not you can actually do it at this point in your educational career with your bachelor's degree depends on how many lower level credits you have available to you, because these introductory foreign language classes are all lower level. All right, basic communication. This student has to have it, and we do here. It's Intro to College Reading and Writing, so I'm going to put that in. And please make sure that you spell things correctly here. You see this green squiggly underline? That means the computer doesn't like something, it just wants me to get rid of that extra space. But look at your spelling. If you see that, and that's red highlighted right there, that means it's spelled incorrectly. So look it up. A lot of times the computer does not like things with apostrophes, so you may get an error message that you need an apostrophe or something when indeed you don't. And it also doesn't like pronouns. So be careful about making the corrections, but a lot of times if it's underlined in red, it has a spelling error and you need to fix that. I expect that what you list here, I will go and find on your actual degree plan. I expect it to be spelled correctly, and I expect it to be the exact title of the course. You do not need the course number. You don't need the asterisk, which means that it's liberal. You don't need the plus sign, which means that it's advanced level credit, none of that, okay? So you just need the course. I don't care where it came from, just the course. So this is your general education chart. All right, now the next chart that we go to, let me just do a couple more things with general education. So let's say let's say I give you a choice like I did this student, and I said, give me another science, give me another math class, and you need to add that in. You go back to View in Official Format up here, and you click on ESC Studies. All right, and we'll go down here, and you see where I had said another math class. One more math class like algebra. So I had typed this in as an independent study because that's the way I can type in whatever I want. I'm going to put in Add CDL course, and I'm going to put in algebra because I said she should take that. So there's algebra. Okay. One more science class. I know that for our chart I put in human biology. So let's go down for human. These are all alphabetical order. And the cool thing about the Empire State CDL classes is when you put them in, it automatically tells you how many credits, whether they're liberal or not, and what gen ed it means. So you don't even have to worry about designating that. Although I will tell you, for all of you guys, I did already add in to your transferred work whether or not it was liberal, advanced, or gen ed. So if it's not already marked on your degree plan, then it wasn't marked as gen ed. So here I have 2 foreign language classes. So this one I'm going to add Spanish 1, and that is only 4 credits, so I will have to add an additional class because I wanted the student to have 2. So there's Spanish 1, and add. And now I'm going to add a class right below it. I'm going to insert a title below, and I'm going to put in Spanish 2 so that this has what we put on our charts. Spanish 2. Okay. There we go. All right, and I did do history, so I'm going to put that in. So just might as well have it on here. Let's see, what did I say we had? I said we had, oh, that's right, U.S. labor history. So let's go to CDL course. We're doing U.S. labor history. Where is U.S. labor history? There we go, United States labor history. And we're going to add another one in because I wanted a second history class, and I think I put in Western Civ and Human Development because that meant Western civilizations. So I go into W. Sometimes if you can't find it, it's because it has a the in front of it, or an or an a, and it really does go that alphabetical order. So Western civilization and human development. There we go. All right. So I just threw those classes in, but let's say, I mentioned human development to you and you get kind of hives. Now, human biology rather. Human biology is a great course. It gives you some options. So if you have human biology and intro to psych and algebra in your undergraduate work, you have a door open to you that you could then say, you know what, maybe I'll go for a master's in social work. I know for a fact that some social work master's programs want human biology. So human biology and algebra are never bad classes to take. That can always work for you. And intro to psych, again, those are three core classes that I typically recommend. Anyway, so now let's go to our general education classes. So this link here, and I know I have provided it somewhere for you guys, is the link that gets you to our general education and what classes Empire State offers that meets Gen Ed through CDL, and that is the Center for Distance Learning. So you see all the classes here that meet American history, and let's say you see American ethnic history. What's that? So if I click on that, it opens up it tells you what it is. It will tell you whether or not you need to have another class before it, because some of these advanced level, and it's advanced because it has a number 3 or 4 right here as the third number. Some of these advanced level classes do require a prerequisite, and it is good to keep that in mind because you could be out of your league if you are taking something that you don't have a prerequisite for. So you can read about it here. You can decide if it's what you want. It also tells you again that it meets the general education requirement, American history full. Sometimes there are classes that have the or, and the or is it meets either or. For example, humanities through the arts. I know that this meets either humanities or the arts. Some of them are actually an and, so you can get 2 gen ed with 1 class, which is terrific if you're short on space and you need an extra gen ed area. So this one says no prerequisites or prior background is required, which is terrific. And then they just tell you what they want you to know. So if we go back to another course that I know, it's an art class. Actually math, let's go into math here. Sorry to jump around. So we've got 2 history of math classes. The one with the 2 as the third number is the lower level. The one with the 3 is the advanced. So history of math. This one says meets gen ed for math and other world civilizations. So that meets 2 at once. So when you put that on your degree plan, it will actually check off both of those in the gen ed area. So that's a great thing to have. The other place that you can look for general education classes is in the learning opportunities inventory. And I know I've sent you all this link. I think I've included it in my welcome letter, so it should be in there. And if you need it sent again, let me know if it's not already in the course. So right here, I can search things by subject and also by term. The term part is important. However, this isn't always entirely accurate. So you really do need to look on the My ESC site and find out what is open where. It'll tell you online courses. Let's see. There should be a link in here to academics. Yep, academics is up here. And it should tell you what is offered for the term. It should say term offerings somewhere. I'm going to pause this and try to find it so I don't scroll around with you watching. Okay, so here it says upcoming term offerings. You can click on that. Complete distance learning catalog. You can click on that. Now, why is this important? Well, if you're adding classes to your degree plan and you know that you are only ever going to be able to do the fall 2, also called the November term, or the spring 2, also called the March term, then you certainly don't want to pick something that is only offered in September, January, and May, because you will never be able to take it. So if we go to the Learning Opportunities Inventory, we can look at anything we want. And I'm going to take educational early childhood studies as a good example, because I think there are some absolutely fantastic college-wide learning opportunities for early childhood studies. And when you're looking at this, the CDL, this tells you everything that CDL offers. So this will all be in Moodle rooms, all of these. If we go down to the independent studies, these are all the independent studies that are offered. And independent studies are great. You work with an instructor one-on-one. Typically, you work through email and phone, and it's probably a lot less stressful than a regular online class can be with the class discussions. On the downside, you miss out on the interaction with your peers and the stimulation of new ideas from interacting with someone else. But these are a great way to go about if you have limited term options or you have special interests. And I really think that some of these independent studies are fabulous. Like this has autism spectrum disorder. We don't offer anything like that at CDL. Book arts is another one. Challenging behaviors in early childhood. Child rearing across cultures. So there's so many things in here that really I think children with disabilities are fantastic. Children with special needs. They're really great and more broad topics for someone to look at in terms of what they would want to add to their degree plan, like technology and early childhood. This one's for 2 credits. I mean, that's fantastic. Studies in early childhood, social research methods, all these are great. Sensory integration in the child, just extra courses to consider. The other interesting thing is you can go in here and say, oh my God, my mentor told me I have to take a foreign language, so let's look up languages. And there's a lot of different ways to get a foreign language if you go in the independent studies. So this one says Introduction to Pragmatics. It meets humanities, so that's not going to be one of our choices, so I shouldn't have clicked on that. I guess I should have researched this first. Here we have Latin. We don't offer that at CDL, which is fantastic. Second language acquisition. Let's see what this course is about. It meets humanities. This is a great class. Actually, talk about somebody who's doing education, looking at how students get to how they acquire a second language. So that's a great course if you're teaching. But anyway, it just gives you an idea of other things that we offer, like Latin is in here. Endangered languages, that's not offered under Gen Ed. That's too bad. That would have been a neat thing to have. So anyway, history of the Spanish language, that's going to be Spanish. That's advanced. I mean, I'm sorry, that's going to be foreign language, and that's going to be advanced. And you've got Latin in here, so it gives you a little bit more choices. And math too, you'll find with math and science, sometimes there's less frightening choices on the LOI that you can choose as an independent study. So that is general education. Okay, now we're going to go on to the area of study guidelines, the dreaded one that you all seem to sweat over along with the college research chart. So let's do the area of study guidelines. And this is really important right here. So I've typed it in twice. Make sure you're using the correct charts as per your matriculation date. When you matriculated, you should have that somewhere in an acceptance letter. I would contact the registrar's office. It is something I can check for you, but you should remember when you started. And don't go by your acceptance date. It's by your first term with us. So if your first term with us was September 2015, then that is your matriculation date, and that is the area of study guidelines that you would need to go by. For example, if I click on Ed Studies, and I know that they just did this, they just redid Ed Studies. This one is asking you for foundations of education, learning theories, instructional strategies, curricular design, all of this stuff here. But the older ones are not as detailed with some of these things. So if you had matriculated a while ago, you would actually go under the old ones. So I go to my area of study site, and I click on Educational Studies. Then I click on Detailed Guidelines right here. And it says, Detailed Educational Studies Guidelines for students matriculated after September 1st. So these are brand new. These are students matriculated after January 1st and in 2008, and these are students who matriculated before 2008. I don't think these pertain to anyone now, but let's look at what the 2008 to 2014 were. These are the ones that I have in the course. So if you matriculated in September, you cannot use these guidelines. You have to use the ones that say matriculated after September 1st. So here they are. And all I have done to create the chart is I count these up: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9. I'm going to go to my my area of study guidelines. I don't want this one because that's old. I'm going to go into here. So I need to create a chart, and I'm going to put it under here because I do want all these on the same page. I go into tables. I click table here. I want 2 plus 9. So I'm going to have to insert a table. I'm going to have 2 columns and 9 rows. Okay, so I put that there. And now I look at my guidelines. So here's one: identify, define, all of this stuff, learning theories, instructional strategies. So there's a lot in here. And I would have 2 to 3 guidelines per, 2 to 3 courses per guideline. So, you know, knowledge of learning theories. That I can tell you right now is human learning, a developmental approach. Learning theory would also be cognitive psychology. That's another one. Learning theories. You can get learning theories in Intro to Psychology. They should talk about some. So if you're doing like an associate's degree, the area of study guidelines aren't judged as harshly because you won't be able to meet some of them as thoroughly with just an associate's degree. So for right now, I know this student has intro to psych, so I'm going to put intro to psychology here. And if I want more, I really need to look up what the course description says. Like I said, I also know human learning is part of this. And I do believe that the degree plan I was setting up has that. So this is how you get the area study guidelines in here if I have the wrong ones in the course. And chances are I might, because a lot of them just came out with new guidelines for 2015. So you will be doing what I'm doing right here. You're going to create this little chart like I did, and then you're going to copy and paste each of these guidelines into your chart. Okay, that's all I've done is copied and pasted in here. And I put them in the course thinking I would save you guys some work, but you know, if I haven't had a chance to update some of them, so I don't want you to be in trouble because I didn't update them. And we're going to talk about concentration guidelines after we get through the area of study guidelines. Not all area of studies have a concentration guideline, but many of them do. I know that business degrees typically have concentration guidelines. I know that there are a lot in human services that will. I know that sciences and math will have concentration guidelines. So always look and check. And the way you will know if it has concentration guidelines, and let me just finish this up and I will show you that. So I've copied all of these down here so you didn't have to watch me do it. So they're all in. The way you figure out if you have concentration guidelines is to go to the area of study, and I look here and let's see what it says. Students often pursue a concentration in educational studies in order to prepare for, let's say, early childhood education. So early childhood studies. And I'm looking for, it does list all of the Center for Distance Learning courses. That's fantastic. It does list some independent studies here that you could consider, which is, again, fantastic that they do this. We've really done a lot of updating on this website, which I think is very helpful. But I don't see any guidelines here. I don't see it telling you exactly what you have to do. So it's not giving me a list of things like I know it does in business management and economics. So let's say I choose, let's see, let me get into detailed guidelines. When I get into detailed guidelines, it gives me all of these things and they're all highlighted. If you don't see your concentration here, then there are no concentration guidelines. But if you're doing a BME degree in marketing or management or labor relations, international business, any of these, and let's just take economics for here, you have to meet these guidelines. So the recommendations are based on this. Let's see, the range of new concepts, be more advanced study. All right, so they want, you have to have concentrations include all of this. So you may not necessarily need to make a chart for this, but you need to read this, understand it, and address it in your essay. So say according to the Empire State College Area of Study Guidelines chart, I know that an economics concentration needs to consider the following. And this is you in your own words. Put all this in your own words and summarize it. Okay? Some of them are definitely more concrete. So here's management concentration guidelines for students effective 2014. And they do list this. They want you to understand broad-based knowledge of management fundamentals, specific knowledge of management practice, critical thinking and applied learning, ethics and globally responsible learning, and a capstone study. Sometimes if your area of study has a capstone, they'll actually tell you. And they'll actually tell you what the class is. For example, in psychology, it is History and Systems of Psychology. So that is a capstone course that you must have. I know for childcare administration, it is the seminar in childcare administration, which is an independent study. That is a course you are expected to have. So those are your concentration guidelines. Now, let's get back to putting those into your chart. So I'm going to go back to my degree plan here. And I have an advantage, obviously, because I know the content of a lot of these classes. I also know what area of study guidelines they meet. So this degree, which is actually in human development, not ed studies, but let's pretend it's ed studies because there's a lot of similarities here. I can use a lot of these classes in the educational studies. So this one wants identify, define, and apply foundational knowledge, grounding them in their concentration. Well, this concentration is early childhood studies. So what's foundational knowledge for early childhood studies? Well, obviously, human development is going to be that. Human development is going to tell you how children develop. So I put human development there. If she also has development, like child development, let's see, introduction to early childhood education, I would say that definitely goes here. Um, because it's dealing with her concentration, which is early childhood, and we know it's going to teach you how to teach somewhat. So that's probably going to be part of the area study guidelines here. And as long as you can explain why you put your choice here, and the way you're explaining it is, well, in human development, I learned about blah, 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 and that is foundational knowledge in understanding how children grow and learn. And that's why it meets the area of study guidelines. So you just need to discuss the content of the course and how it applies to this. So just saying in your essay, um, this area of study guideline says this, and here's what I picked. Well, they can look at your chart and figure that out. They need you, what does it mean to identify, define, and apply foundational knowledge, grounding them in their concentration? What is, I would say, foundational knowledge in an early childhood studies degree is going to be content that tells me about how children develop and how their education should begin. Therefore, I have chosen the courses Human Development, Introduction to Early Childhood Education, and again, I think I know attachment, continuity, and separation applies here because how children attach to their caregiver definitely affects their ability to learn. So as you know, I would put that in here and I would tell you to have that in here. So if you're early childhood, take note, attachment goes in here. I also know that human learning and developmental approach goes in here. Now, that's enough here. Unless, as I start explaining it, I realize that human development isn't quite good enough and something else in here is, play, fantasy, and reality might, human exceptionalities might. There's a lot of courses that would fit here, but you don't need to list them all because if you do, you need to discuss every one of them. So only list what you want to discuss, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. You know, you don't want to look at it like I look at this and I go, that looks kind of empty. What else can I put in here? What else has this student taken that deals with learning theories, teaching, literacy, instructional strategies? Well, I actually know that play, fantasy, and reality does that, so I would put that course in here too, just to fill this out a little bit more. So 3 courses is good, 4, excellent. You don't want to get much more than that. Demonstrate an understanding of learners and learning as appropriate to the concentration. Well, definitely human learning, so I'm just going to copy and paste that and put that down here. And basically, this is how I go through these classes. And if I have a question, you know, if I want to say, well, gee, I don't know, does human exceptionalities like show an understanding of curricular design? You know, am I going to learn how to design curriculum or any theories of curricular design from human exceptionalities? I haven't taken that course yet. I go to the LOI rather, and I go to where that class is listed, and I'm pretty sure it's under Early Childhood Studies here. And I go to Human Exceptionalities, and I read the description. So what's it say? I read this description, and let's see that does it say anything about curriculum design? Nope. I don't see anything about curricular design, so I'm not going to use that here. But this does talk about developing the theories of developmental difference. So this is theories of development. So that's another class that I could put in here for foundational knowledge. Demonstrating an understanding of their learners. Well, that definitely goes in here. If I understand human exceptionalities, if I understand all of the things that students could be affected by, then I'm going to be a better teacher. So that definitely understanding of their learning goes in here. So you may not find that the course meets what you're hoping for it to meet, which would have been this one with the curricular design, but you find out that it actually meets another area of study guideline. So without finishing up the rest of this, that's how I would have you complete the area of study guidelines chart. And I do expect that you go and look at these course descriptions and learn that for certain. I'm going to tell you right now, planning and finalizing the degree does not meet guidelines in any of these area of study guidelines. Neither does educational planning workshop. Most of the educational studies classes, and you do have to have 4 educational planning credits. You have to have 4. Most of them really are about you and in your own personal learning, with the exception of something like proposal writing, Possibly reflective learning you might be able to parlay into the educational studies guidelines, but typically I don't expect to find planning and finalizing the degree. Now, are all of your area of study guidelines going to come from your concentration? No. You might have a degree, and I know, for example, human development is getting very picky with this. They want an ethics class in human development. Exploring the professions, childcare does cover ethics, and that's good enough, and it should be. There is no specific human development class in ethics. You would have to take human service ethics to get that. There is a psychology ethics class. There's also an intro to ethics class that you could put in for 2 credits if you're short on credits, 4 credits if you need more. And so if you're in human development, they are going to expect to see ethics. So is that part of human development? No, but it is over here because this student is also getting her credential for child care administration and also doing early childhood studies. So if she wanted to either run a daycare or teach preschool, she'd be able to do both with this degree. And she'd also set herself up nicely to go on to a degree in a master's degree program. So human service ethics would go under the human development area of study guidelines for an ethics class, even though it's not in the concentration. So all of your area of study guidelines classes don't have to come from your concentration, but they do have to relate to whatever the area, whatever the guideline is talking about. So that is the area of study guidelines. And I don't think I can explain it much better than that, so hopefully this is being helpful to you. I'm going to pause for a minute and we're going to get into the college charts. Back in our Moodle course here, and now we're going on to the college chart. So here's the blank college chart. I'm going to click on that, download it, and open it up. So I did this again just to make it easier for you. If you like color-coded things, you can do that, but this one is just basic. So here's your Empire State College. This includes your transferred work. You don't have to list it as transferred. You don't have to list it as PLA. Once it is on your transcript, it's your transcript. So I expect to see all of your concentration classes in your college chart. You have 2 ways that you can do this. You can list them all out right now and then try to match them up, or you can have your list handy, and as you're going through your other colleges, plug in your class that meets it here. I prefer that second method because I would rather see all of the extra courses that you have that other colleges don't listed at the bottom. So then what the committee sees is, oh, look at this. These colleges only asked for 8 classes, but whoa, look at all these classes that our student took here. So her degree definitely meets or exceeds what other colleges would require. And that's really the reason for this. You're designing this degree. You want to make sure that it's going to work for you the way you need it to work for you. And if you have a degree that you're calling a degree in math, and you go to apply to, let's say, even this college here for a master's program so that you can teach math, they could look at you and go, look, for our math bachelor's degree, we require all these courses and you don't even have half of them. So Empire State College may have graduated you with that because you met the area of study guidelines and you had your minimum 24 credits, but you don't have what we need. So you're going to have to take all of these lower level credit classes in order to even get into our master's program. You don't want that to happen. You want to know that you're designing a degree that will stand up at other colleges because we don't have lists of required classes. We allow you that choice within certain guidelines like the area study guidelines and within the requirements like our minimum number of advanced level credits. So you want to make sure that your degree, if you're calling it a math degree or a science degree or an early childhood degree, that your degree is solid. And don't just pick the easiest colleges to find. Pick some colleges that, if the world were a different place and you could go there, where would you go? I look at Harvard, I would look at schools that are famous for teaching what you want. For example, like the Wharton School of Business. That's one of the best business schools in the country. I know that Boston University has a great business school. So if you're a business person, start there. Start with the name colleges. Don't just necessarily search your concentration, which is what you're researching. You're researching your concentration, not your registered area of study. So if I'm doing a psychology degree, I'd look up psychology degrees at other colleges. So let's do early childhood studies. And I know, let's see, let's try SUNY Buffalo. So let's go with SUNY Buffalo and see what they have for college classes. So here's buffalo.edu. And let's see where their classes are offered. future students. Here we go, schools and colleges. Well, here's a school of education. So let's start there with their school of education. Teaching, counseling, leadership. Let's see what they offer. Academic programs. So these are all their academic programs, and oh, these are master's programs. Let me back up. I'll be back in a moment. So University of Buffalo is only offering an undergraduate minor in education. Because it's a minor, I'm assuming it doesn't have a ton of classes, but you know what? That's okay because I'm still looking at what they're requiring of you. So it looks like they want intro to education, and we know our student here has, she's got an intro to early childhood studies. So, you know, to me, that kind of relates. So I'm going to go to my college chart here, and I'm going to put that course on there. So we have University at Buffalo, I put that in for our college, and I have Intro to Education, and we have Intro to Early Childhood Education. And now you can explain here if you want when you are talking about this, that this was for a minor. UB offered a minor in education. So I noted, I'm putting that note here for myself. I might not necessarily leave it on my chart, but you might want to say that, you know, while you were unable to find an exact match for early childhood studies, you did find a fairly solid degree for education at the University of Buffalo, which was for a minor in education, but it was a fairly thorough, I mean, look at all these electives you could take. That's a fairly thorough listing of classes. So I would go with this. Educational psychology, 3 credits. So I'm going to put educational psych here. And we may not have educational psychology in our degree, but you know what? We have intro to psych. And I think that that's a great, that's a good enough match. You know, we don't have to be exactly like them. Now, that's not to say that the student couldn't take intro to psych. You know, we might leave this blank or put a question mark here, and that could be something you say to me, you know, should I consider intro to psych? And we'll look at your plan, and if you have room for it, you know, if this school also wants intro to psych, then, or educational psych, then you might consider it. It might be a class that you want to put in. Sociology of education. I don't have that class. I know I'm not going to have that class at Empire State College. Does it mean I need it? Not necessarily. You know, if this college doesn't require it and this is the only one that does, I can leave this blank. It's okay. You don't have, you know, you could remove it entirely and not list it because, you know, if 2 colleges don't have it, then that's their own little thing here. Introduction to Child Development and Learning. So they want at least 9 credits or 3 courses chosen from the following electives. I would assume that this has, you know, that these are most of what their educational classes are. So let's look at this one, Teaching the Exceptional Learner. That's human exceptionalities for us. And what was the course again? Teaching the Exceptional Learner. So what am I going to put in here when I find this college? Well, this is going to be some kind of a class on special education. That's what I'm looking for there. I'm looking for some kind of psych, ed psych, or cognitive learning. That kind of a class, cognitive psych would fit here. Again, you know, this course has this, what's in college too is going to match these two. So you see how I'm doing it. I'm reading what this college requires, and I'm saying, do I have that? Is that in my coursework? Do I need that? You know, I put this question mark here, and to say, do I need ed psych? That might be something I want. And I'm making notes here for myself about what I want to find at this second college to match up here. Because I shouldn't see intro to education, intro to psych, and then over here, you know, ceramics. Those don't match up. I want similar course content across. Now, this isn't necessarily an easy thing to do, but you do need to look at enough other colleges to know what they want. Early childhood education theory and practice. That's an interesting one. Now, I know we don't offer anything like that. I'm not sure what my student has, so I'm just going to go and check here. We want education, we want theory and practice. Well, she has human learning, a developmental approach, which definitely deals with theory, and developing preschool practice, programs, which is going to deal with some kind of practice. So we might actually be able to fill that with human learning and put in developing preschool programs. Because within those two classes, I have learned about the theory of education, theory of learning, and how to put that into practice. Developing a preschool program. I could also put in, she has a seminar in supervising quality childcare programs. So that would be practice right there. I could also put that class in. So that deals with a practice. Okay, so this is basically what you're doing. You are looking at other colleges and finding out what they require for your concentration so that when you put this into your rationale essay, you can talk about it. And you can say, here's what the University of Buffalo requires for a minor in education. They require these. I took these classes. Or you can just present your chart and say, while I was unable to find an exact match, or I did find an exact match, whatever you found, how does your degree compare to theirs? How many advanced level classes do they require? Now, if I look back here at UBuffalo, I don't really see, they want at least 9 credits chosen from the following electives. I'm pretty sure that a 205 class is a lower level. So the rest of them, look, they only give you one lower level choice. So they're going to want at least 6 credits in advanced studies here, and these are all advanced level credits. So they want at least 16 advanced level credits for a minor. So if your program has more than that for your major, your concentration, then you should be fine. And that's how I would see that. Now, again, if you know specifically where you want to go to do your graduate work, then that's really what you need to look up. So I would look up, if you know that you want to go to the University at Albany to do your master's in teaching, then I would look up what they require in some of their bachelor's programs for a degree that you're going for. So that's a good way to start. Where do I want to go for graduate school if I were to go? Or let me just pick a name out of a hat. What does Yale require? What does Dartmouth require? Because I look at those like the gold standards. If your degree matches something given at Yale, then you're good to go. But this is what you're looking for. You are looking for a college that will list specifically what you need to take. That's the only way you're going to be able to compare it to what you're looking for. And I think most of you have problems with just even finding those classes. So let's say I can't even think of a college. I might just type in bachelor's degrees in early childhood education. Now, we can't use the word education at Empire State College, so your degree is in early childhood studies, but for this, I know we're looking for early childhood education. So Walden University. You also have to make sure that it's an accredited college, and I know Walden is, because otherwise it's not really a strong comparison if it's, just Joe Smith College with no accreditation. Community colleges are only going to offer associate's degrees, so do not compare your bachelor's degree to anything from a community college because that is associate's degrees only. So here's a BS in Child Development from Walden. Child development is a little bit different from early childhood education, but I still think it's an important way. Look, they've got child and adolescent studies, so they do have different concentrations for you to pick from. And really what we're looking for is, do they have a list of classes? So sometimes these colleges want you to request information before they'll let you see their classes with some of the online schools. So, you may have to do some searching, but you want to look at what they are, where their courses are listed. If they don't list them, move on and find another college that will give you the courses because that's what you need. I'm not going to get information from them to then be able to do my chart. Forget it. I'm not going to deal with Walden because they're not listing it for me, and that's a pain in the neck. So I go back to my search and I find something else. Degree in childhood education, Grand Canyon. This is another online school. They're asking you all kinds of questions here. See, already that's kind of a pain in the neck. I want something easy. So this is why sometimes start with your SUNY schools and just go through SUNY schools. Here's one bachelor's degree web crawler. So that might have give you ideas here of where else to look. So that's basically how I do it. It's really, this is your research for this class. And you're not writing research papers, you're not doing readings from all these textbooks, but you are doing this. You're listening to my little webcasts here, and you're looking up your degree online. What do you match up to? Here's Ashworth College. Let's check that out. What do they have? Request a free catalog. Again, I don't want a catalog. I just want you people to give me a listing, so they're not giving it. I'm going to go with something else. This is all it is. It's you searching and finding the degrees. And you can find them. Everybody else before you has found them. It just may take a little bit more tweaking on your part. Okay, so hopefully this has helped you guys. And let me just show you briefly how you're going to use these charts in your essay. So this is part of a real essay that has passed committee, and this one is on human development with a concentration in psychology. So this paragraph is really important. You all need to have this kind of language in your plan. You have to have 124 credits with a minimum of, now 96 is liberal because she did, this is a mistake, she had Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts has 96 liberal, so she only needed 64 liberal credits. Additionally, a minimum of 45 credits must be upper level, and a minimum of those 45 must be upper level in the concentration. The proposed degree plan she's saying that her plan exceeds that. And you need to have 30 general education credits. So your requirements are 124 credits, the 96 liberal studies for a Bachelor of Arts, the 64 liberal studies for a Bachelor of Science. You have to have 45 upper level credits for a bachelor's and a minimum of 24 upper level in your concentration. And I say minimum, that means you're minimally meeting it, and I would want to go beyond minimum if I were you, and you could. Associate's degrees do not need advanced level credits, and you only need 64 credits total, and your amount of liberals credits are lesser than this, so you'll have to look on the in the course for those amounts. I do list them in there. Everybody, bachelors and associates alike, need 30 gen ed credits of at least 7 of the 10 areas. Okay, now here she goes. She is comparing her degree. So she plops in that chart. Notice how these things all match. Cognitive, intro to cog, abnormal psych, abnormal psych, abnormal psych. This was a great match. Empire State College, Penn State, and University of Houston. She did a great job matching this up. History and systems of psych, experimental psych, quantitative reasoning, testing and measurement. Testing and measurements doesn't necessarily match up here. Quantitative reasoning, experimental psych, if they did this kind of reasoning, that would fit, but she does have survey of social science research methods, which actually should have gone in here. So survey of social science research methods should be here. Now, that is the change that I would make. So, and then I would put experimental psych here. All right, so that is how you present this chart, and then she discusses it. What she researched, what she found out, she compared those two, and then she actually went into a lot of depth here. She said what Penn State wants, they want 124 with 30 psych credits, 15 which are upper level. And she then told you what University of Houston required. So she did all of this research, and then her Empire State. Then she presents her area of study concentrations, area of study guidelines rather, and she has the area of study here and the courses on the other side. Now notice what it looks like when she writes it up. These are the classes in bold font, and then she's got the area of study guideline in italic. And what this does is the italic makes your area of study stand out. The bold makes your courses stand out. Okay, in here she did much better because she specifically went through and listed and talked about the classes and what they meant. Then she presented her concentration guidelines. Nope, here we go, APA. So she did not have an APA chart. You will have an APA chart for me. I don't know why I didn't have her do that, but she, I think, explained it well enough that I left it alone. So here are her APA guidelines because she should have had an APA chart. And again, here's the guideline in italics and the courses that meet them in bold with a description of how she's meeting that because they will look for it. So your charts really help organize your writing and make sure that you're meeting it thoroughly, and really doing what you're supposed to be doing with your essay so that it doesn't get sent back. The whole goal of me having you do these charts and being so thorough this way is so that it doesn't come back. The only reason we have been having degrees come back lately is because the committees have been changing and they've been focused on different area of study guidelines and wanting specific courses. And please know that when you get something back like that from the committee, if I think they're right, then I will assist you in making the change. If I think they're wrong, then I will fight for it. And I have been fighting for some students lately and winning in terms of the changes that the committee was requiring and what I knew to be something that should have been accepted as it was. So don't panic if it gets sent back. A lot of times things get sent back, but the more you do here with these charts and the better the job you do with your area study guidelines, the better off you're going to be. And while I'm here, I might as well go on and talk about the professional expectations, which we have here. This is you deciding what do you want to do with your degree. If you're saying that the purpose of your degree is to get you into graduate school, then I want to know what you need. So she talks about that here. Should I decide to pursue a master's degree? This meets the requirements to get into Empire State Colleges. So she picked that one. But, if she wanted to go on to UAlbany, then I would expect to see what UAlbany requires to get into their program. And again, that's more research on your end. But at the end of the day, you want to know that you have in your plan what you need to have it work for you. If you want to use your degree to be a child care provider, then in here, the professional expectations, I expect to read about what the New York State requires for their child care providers, what their requirements are, and how you have met them. What courses have you taken that are going to help you here? And then your degree structure and design, that is you discussing how your coursework starts out at entry level and goes to advanced, and then how your degree is just really broad. So depth is that you go from lower level to upper level, and breadth is really general education studies, how you've got that wide range of studies that's not just centered around your concentration. So hopefully this helps you all with your degree planning, and if you have any more questions, please email me.